In today's video, we're going to be checking out a mod that adds insane staffs and weapons into Minecraft. It's called Mahot Sky, and it's loosely inspired by the Fate anime series. So let's just jump straight into it. Okay, so first up is Caliburn. As you can see, it has 13 attack damage so far. But what's cool about Caliburn is that you can scale the attack on this weapon massively. All you need to do is enchant it with Smite or Bane of Arthropods or, you know, any of the offensive enchantments. So we'll do that here. We'll add a Smite 5. You can see 13 attack damage. Then you spawn in this lake to allow you to craft Caliburn and also upgrade it. So what we're going to do is throw Caliburn in, and you'll see there's like a little animation because the sword flies and sticks to the bottom of the lake. So we're going to go and grab it, pick it up, take it back up to the surface, get away from the lake so we can actually see, and you'll see it's now 18 attack damage, and you can see the innate cap here as well, so we could actually raise it to, I don't know, 1 million. I don't think there's a massive limit, so if we now go and attack, we can basically one-shot everything. So we shall also summon a zombie pigman. But a cool thing about Caliburn as well is that undead mobs are scared of Caliburn. So if I summon the zombie pigman, you can see it's running away because I have Caliburn in my inventory. So let me just drop Caliburn on the floor, summon the zombie pigman, pick it up, it runs away. It's actually scared, and this is all undead mobs, so they fear the wielder. There's also one other thing that you can do. So if you right click and hold, it will pull you and the mob that you're fighting closer to you, so you can get in close, deal damage, and kill them pretty quickly. So you can also, as well, is cast a smite, which you just saw there. So you press the command key that you've set up for it, and it'll do a little smite damage. Now I'm not sure if the smite damage scales with the sword damage, but it definitely does a little bit. Next up is Clarent. Now Clarent has adaptive damage, so it will match the opponent's weapon damage. So if I summon in the zombie pigman, it'll match the damage of the zombie pigman's weapon, which in this case is a gold sword. If you block as well, it increases your attack damage, and it also deals lasting damage. So if the opponent's moving quickly as well, it'll deal more damage. It's a pretty basic sword, but it has a few cool uses that you could probably get advantage out of early game. Next up is Morden. So Morden allows you to gain damage and heals by consuming mana and villager vitality. It also is only able to be obtained by killing the player's pet while using Caliburn, which is quite brutal. If you right click, it releases an energy ball, and you can fire that. And then rage mode, if you press Y, puts you in rage mode, gives you extra damage, and gives you a little bit of a speed boost as well. Not overly powerful, but it does a decent amount of damage. Its base is 4, so it's okay. Its effect is pretty cool. And there is a cooldown, a 30-second cooldown on both the rage and the energy ball. Next up is the Ripper. Now the Ripper is probably one of the coolest ones. You can see immediately I have a speed boost, and that is pretty cool. But the Ripper is also one that I wouldn't use for combat, but I would keep in my inventory if I was on a PvP server, because what you can do is run away, and if you're in a bit of a tight bind and you need to escape and you don't want them to find you, if you right click, it sends out a massive smoke screen, and then you can just duck away or run or, you know, hide wherever you need to. And the smoke screen is pretty big too. You can see it covers a pretty large distance, and it takes a while to clear too. So you have plenty of time to escape from anyone who's chasing you, and it's pretty dense too. So, you know, the further away you get from the sheep or the mob or the player that you run away from, it's pretty good. And then you also have this like identifier for entities, so you can sort of see entities as you look at them. So if you're running after someone while you're using the Ripper, when they're in smoke screen, you might be able to find them. Before we move on to the next weapon, I just want to ask, If you're enjoying these videos, then maybe consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps out the channel so we can make more of these. Next up is the Crimson Black Keys of Proximity Projection. Now, these are pretty simple. All you need to do is punch, and it'll teleport and hit behind the person that you're identifying. So you can see, it's pretty brutal. It does a lot of damage too, and it teleports you to wherever you are looking, as long as you're looking at another entity, and it will automatically hit them. So you don't even have to be, quick to turn around and hit them. It will just hit them for you, and the range is pretty long too. So let's try and hit a sheep over there. There we go. So you could, in theory, use this as like a way to teleport really quickly towards places if you set up, I don't know, like an iron golem relay or something. But this is a pretty powerful weapon, especially for mobility. See if we can lock on. Yeah, we can even lock on this far. So definitely worth keeping in your inventory if you want a quick getaway, or you want to launch a quick first strike and then whip out your 10,000 damage Caliburn to do the rest. Okay, so next we're going to be checking out the bow of weapon projectiles. I'm going to leave these two for you to explore because they have some really cool effects, but they're quite difficult to show off. So, the bow of weapon projectiles. This one's really cool. So, in normal mode, it just shoots arrows and it deals damage based on the weapon. And what we can do is pull in a weapon. So I'm going to shoot some diamond swords. We're going to grab 3 of them here. You'll be wondering, why am I grabbing diamond swords? Well, that's because this bow, this bow shoots swords as its weapon. So instead of using normal arrows, like you would think you wouldn't want to, you can actually use diamond swords as your projectile. Quite an expensive arrow to use, I will say, but pretty cool. If you want to just show off a little bit, you can see we have some arrows over here still. It's I don't know if I would use it really in combat. Maybe if you want to fire wooden swords, but you're better off just using a normal bow and arrow, I would say. Next up for this chest is the Treasury Projection Gauntlet. Now this one's really cool. You can see it's on my right hand, but I'm going to put it in the offhand, and it makes you look a little bit like Thanos, just without the Infinity Stones. This has some cool battle modes. So if we shift right click, you can see it's targeted mode, chain mode, or AoE mode. I'm going to show off chain mode. So you target the mob that you want to use chain mode on, and you right click, you can see it summons a massive cage of chains that has all different directions. You see I'm sliding through all of it there. And it's a massive ring of chains that does a lot of damage to whatever mob is trapped inside them. So we're going to do it again on the sheep. Activate the chains, and it does a lot of damage. Now, if they get caught fully, then it's really hard for them to escape. They can escape. That is possible. But if they get caught fully in the chains, then there's no chance. You see, sometimes they get pushed out there, so you want to try and get them so they can't escape. But it does a lot of damage, finishes them off pretty quickly, and it also traps them if you're in a battle with another player. Okay, moving on to these staffs. Now, I'm going to be checking out all 4 of these staffs. First up is Emmeris. Now, Emmeris has an offhand buff, so if you hold it in your offhand, it strengthens your main hand attack. But the coolest part of Emmeris is its power. So I'm going to head on over to the sheep again and showcase exactly what Emmeris can do. It summons a lightning storm and also a targeted ball of lightning. Hold it in your offhand, it gives you a damage boost with your sword or whatever weapon you're holding, but it also makes a massive amount of damage. And every time you do it, it creates this cool thunderstorm effect as well. And you can guide the lightning to where you want it to do, and it chains too. So it'll chain through other mobs. You can see it's chained into the zombies there. And it does, it's slower damage, but pretty good for AoE battles, especially if you're fighting a swarm of zombies. And as soon as you hold, let go of right click, no more storm. Emmeris is probably one of the coolest staffs in this game, but there is one that is my favourite that I'll be showing you pretty soon. this is Nobu, and Nobu has a really cool ability. So it's like a Gatling gun style weapon, but it brings guns into the world and allows you to do like massive firing abilities. So we'll bring in a zombie pigman, and you can see when we hover over the zombie pigman while holding Nobu, it brings up this target. So now, if I hold right click, you can see the weapons are going to follow wherever this zombie pigman goes, and you can see it's tracking it. All I need to do is hold right click and then press the launch button, and it'll send a massive wave of weapons all around the mob. So you can do this for any mob. It doesn't have to be a hostile mob. You can see it does like a massive firing circle. So if you're fighting off against, you know, other players or a few players, you can track multiple ones with some of the other modes, but this is just for a singular one, and it'll track them wherever they go too. So you can see it's just following. If you hold right click, it'll bring you the full circle, but you can just do like a partial circle if you wanted to. So you can see I'm only doing like 4 shots, but you can do as many as you want up to the max amount that will spawn in. And it's a really cool effect too. This is one that you want to use if you're like on a server with friends and you're playing against other people. You could be like the marksman, and you could be the final, you know, final stand. They're running through, and you go, "Oh, not today." Aim at a massive circle of guns appears in the sky, and then just fires at them. It's a pretty cool weapon. Okay, so next up, I'm gonna miss this one just for now. We're gonna go back to it after we've shown off the Mystic Staff of Spatial Disorientation. This is a very simple one, nothing fancy, and why I wanted to show it to you here. You just right click, and you can fling a mob wherever you want it to go. That's it. That's the whole thing. So you create this like magic circle that pops up in front of you, and then you select the desired trajectory, and then off it goes. It flings them quite far too. It's a pretty useful, annoying staff to have, but you can see I can aim all the way over there, and it'll send anything you want absolutely miles. So this is my favorite, the Mystic Staff of Explosive Mana Condensation. I've set up a little button as well to showcase this. So if I right click, you'll see I've just spawned in a wither, and now that wither is just, you know, living over here. This staff, it does something pretty powerful. The wither's trapped in a box of barrier blocks, so it can't escape. If I hold right click and aim at the target, you can see it sends a massive amount of explosions towards your target. And there's different modes too. So this is the AoE mode. See, it's doing a little bit of damage. A fair amount of damage actually, I would say. And the wither's getting pretty annoyed. Then there's beam mode. And the beam mode can actually tear through mountains. You can see, if I actually do it up here, it's ripping through the mountain as if it's absolutely nothing. This is going to use a lot of mana, but it's also a good way to quickly, you know, clear out a mountain if you need to. Then there's big explosion mode. This is my favorite. It creates like a massive beam from the sky that you release, and it creates this insanely massive explosion. This staff is not for the faint of heart. If you are using this on a server against other people, good luck to them. No base is safe. Like, look at this. It comes from the heavens. There's a lightning storm. Imagine seeing this. Imagine you step outside your house to see this beam looking down on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is just wait for the chaos to happen and this massive explosion to just happen. And then you have this. You have just massive amounts of lasers being fired at you, and then a just giant beam tearing through the entire base that you've built. It's insane. This is my favorite staff of this favorite weapon of this entire mod, and it's just something insanely satisfying about seeing this beam appear and then just letting it rip. It's insane. So that's everything we're going to be covering today in this mod. There are some cool weapons. That staff is my favourite. There's some scrolls for you to check out and some more books, and then the 2 weapons in here that I suggested, but it's definitely worth having a look.